Hello, welcome to my channel. Nightreign has had an update recently and has made the game pretty damn amazing. So I thought we'd jump in and take you through what the update is and whether you would be interested in replaying this game. So without further ado, this is Nightreign. This is the new update version. Now before this I had finished everything in the game. The big thing they've introduced in the game that's new is the Deep of the Night mode. So how this works is every time you clear the Nightreign like quests and beat the boss, you'll get 200 points of XP. And then once you get that to 1,000, then it'll go to level 2, level 3. And I believe it goes up to level 5, though it seems to also suggest that there's like a never-ending mode. And I think as it goes up, everything gets harder, and I think your ability to get better relics increases significantly. Now, what are these better relics? Well, the biggest thing they've introduced is these 3 new slots. So if you beat that mode one time, these 3 new slots open up and you get basically access to a whole lot of different relics, these like deep relics, so to speak. And why are these so good is because you can only use them in that new mode, but also some of them have negatives. If we take you through a negative. So in this case, you get the partial HP restoration, but at the cost of a poison build-up when you're below max health. Or you get the fire attack power up +3, but you're taking damage causes poison build-up. So like, as you can see, every single one has like some negative, but not all of them. For example, I've got this one here, which if I go to it, small pouch in possession at the start of the expedition and reduced FP consumption. So that one's like really good for the recluse. And yeah, no negatives. So I think you can roll it in a way that either the negatives are not really negative for your character. So this is a faith and strength negative, but like for recluse, that doesn't really have a huge impact on her if you don't use faith spells. But then you get the benefit of the whole like the new recluse perk, which is collect affinity residues to collect affinity residues to negate affinity, which I think means that basically the resistance of the enemy to certain affinity like types like holy and stuff doesn't decrease, which is pretty cool. Basically you do more damage. But yeah, that's the update. It's pretty good. The actual mode itself is pretty much the same. There's some hard enemies when you go in there. But I also wanted to take you through like the actual patch notes, because there's been some changes to characters, and characters that used to be weak are no longer weak, which is kind of a good thing. Because for example, Guardian used to be the worst character, but now they've kind of buffed him. So anyway, these are the updates aside from that new mode. So Wilders increase their poise while casting Claw Shot and increase stamina dealt by Claw Shot to blocking enemies. Not really huge changes to Wilder there. He's always a strong character, so he's still strong. There's no like nerfs to him. Guardian's the big one, because Guardian used to be at the bottom of the tier list, but now they've increased the strength and dexterity gain when leveling up. They increase the Steel Guard passive ability angle range, increase the range of the Wings of Salvation Ultimate Arts weapon portion, increase the attack power of Halberd guard counts. And that's kind of a big deal because his attack power wasn't the best. He was really like the tank of the party. Definitely got to know how to use this character properly to really pull out his like full strength. Like blocking is highly important for him. Next one's Duchess. Increase dexterity gain when leveling up. Increase the attack power of some dagger attacks. Decrease the two-handed dagger's second heavy attack damage. This change does not affect charge attacks, and increase the duration of final ultimate art. So she's got some buffs, but she's got like a slight debuff there. But I mean, Duchess wasn't really a big deal. As long as you like evade properly on her, she's a pretty good class. The Raider increased the Great Axe and Great Hammer's ability to stagger enemies with attacks, and increase the attack range of the retaliation skill. Revenant adjusted the transparency of Revenant summon spirits, which basically makes it easier to see enemies because these things are massive. And then also now we can run through certain spirits as well if you're in the team, so they don't block you from attacking enemies. So, which is good because they're meant to be spirits, right? But before they'd be like a full wall if you ran into them. Recluse is pretty interesting. You got increased defensive spells attack power of Magic Cocktail, but also they've decreased the time required to cast the Magic Cocktail. So basically, this is like a DPS increase for the Recluse. The Recluse is my like main class. I find her the strongest. So yeah, I was pretty happy to see these changes. Basically means that she does more damage and she has more time spent to do her normal spell casting as well. Usually this would take so long, you get like one shot whilst you're casting it. You'd have to be really careful where you did it. So this is actually really good. Executor is a really under like rated class, but whenever I played him, I always found he was like surprisingly strong, particularly as you level him up to level 15. But he got like massive buffs this time around. Increased attack power while Cursed Sword is in use. Increase the attack power of the Cursed Sword weapon skill when the skill is in use and the blade is in its unleashed state. And increase the attack power of some attacks or aspects of the Crucible beast is active. So yeah, he's just got like general buffs overall. So that's pretty good, pretty useful. Then we've got some weapons, passive effects and special effects adjustments. Increase the stagger damage of dual wielded jump attacks for some small and medium weapons. Decrease the stagger damage of dual wielded jump attacks for some large weapons. So if you like jump attacks, there's some changes there. Increase the potency of the death status element applied by the weapon skill Death Flare or Eclipse Shotel. That's actually good because this thing was like a legendary weapon and I used it and it kind of wasn't that great compared to the other legendary weapons. So the fact that they've increased the buff that it does, I think will make this weapon actually useful. So something you could actually put in your kit. Set a cap on the cumulative effects of the Power of Vengeance and Power of House Marie's passive effects and adjust their potency accordingly. I think this potentially is that thing that's linked to like, oh, the sword just starts with a G. It's like this massive great sword. And it's a legendary great sword that you get. I think it's like the God Grief or the Grafton great sword. It basically meant that you could get permanent stat upgrades. So as long as you kept killing enemies, your stats would just keep going higher and higher and higher. So I guess they fixed it so that you've got a cap. The question is, what's the cap? Is it still pretty high or is it like small? Because what could happen was if you got this kind of buff and that particular weapon and you killed enough enemies, you basically could become a mini boss and just like almost one-shot the boss. It was really fun. A bit disappointing that they capped it, but I mean, they didn't get... Maybe, hopefully they just didn't make it super low. It's still kind of fun to make that build because it was kind of rare to get. It was hard to get this weapon. It was hard to get it in the start of the game anyway. If you got it late game, it wouldn't really... You wouldn't have enough time to kill enemies, so... Didn't really need to like nerf these two in particular, but yeah, I think that's what that one relates to. If you weren't aware of that build, it was amazing. It was amazing. I had one run where I basically got this thing and then I got it on day one, and then the boss we got at the end of day one was the spider boss, which had unlimited spiders that would spawn. And if you just went around and killed all the spiders, they all counted as a death towards like increasing the power of this. So basically what happened was I had like, my health was the entire length of the screen, my MP was the length of the screen, and I was doing like 1,000 damage per like small little glintstone spell cast, and like 4,000 damage if I cast a big spell. It was really cool. I could like one-shot bosses. It was real fun. They've also adjusted the stagger effect of the guard counters trigger Holy Burst, passive explosion, ensure that doesn't reset the enemy's posture break state. I never used it, so I'm not really sure if that's a good, but I guess that's a nerf to it if people use that. Relic effect adjustments, adjusted the effect of wilder standard attacks, enhance with fiery follow-ups when using character skill greatsword only, consume stamina when performing follow-up attacks. There you go, so it's a nerf. Increase the attack power of the Wilder's art activation spread, fires an area burn effect. That's good, he's got more damage when he does his little fire thing. Adjusted the effect of Wilder's art activation spreads fire in the area so the burn effect's attack power does not vary between one-handed and two-handed weapon wielding, so they fixed a difference there. Okay, for Iron Eye, increase the duration of his weak point effect so you don't always have to constantly like reapply. That's kind of useful. This one's interesting because it sucked before, increasing the potency of the continuous HP recovery effect. I wonder now with the relics if you could actually make like a regen build. That's the big question. Like how much did it increase? Something to be tested out, but that's good. It might open up a new build with like HP recoveries in particular, because there's a lot of relics that allow for this. And then if you add it with the weapons that you get in game, maybe you can get something going on. Increase the potency of the HP restored when using medicinal boluses effect. That's good. Increase the potency of the Recluse activation ultimate art raises max HP effect. That's good too. So she's going to get more health when she uses the ultimate if you use that spell. Change that HP so that the HP increase persists until an attack is received even after the art's duration ends. That's really good. So basically her ultimate where she would increase her health is now going to continue on outside until you get hit, I believe. Until you get hit. So you're going to be able to use that max health to basically protect yourself, which actually makes this thing useful because in the past it wasn't really needed. Like it was cool, but that would last for such a short amount of time that was like almost pointless to have that on. Increase the amount of runes attained through the critical hits earn runes effect. So this in the past kind of wasn't worth it. If they've increased it, I wonder if you put it on like an Iron Eye who's really good with his crit attacks, just how much he can farm with that. And maybe having this on your Iron Eye would now mean that you can like max level out way quicker than the other characters. It's still, this thing's still not really something we need, because like hitting level 15 is pretty easy these days, particularly if you know where to go. Like run the castle and do some mini bosses and you're pretty much level 15. You just got to be quick about it. So yeah, it does take away from you allowing to put on like a defensive or an offensive stat, but maybe in like Deep Knight level 5, this type of stuff is what's needed. Maybe they nerf the runes that you get. I'll have to wait till I get to that level to see. But definitely something to pay attention of, that this has changed, so we might have something to do with that. Increase the potency of the HP restoration upon specific weapon type attacks effect. That's really good. So this is like talking about like if it's like HP restoration upon a greatsword attack, you can get like relics that say that. But when you used it, it wasn't a lot of health. It's been buffed. So all those type of ones like Reapers, greatswords, axes, whatever, it covers all the weapon types. Might actually be something you can use to get health back. So I have a feeling all these health ones have been buffed, because I'm assuming in Deep Knight level 5, the enemies are going to hit hard. So they probably have tried to put something in the game that allows us to get our health back, essentially, particularly when we run out of flasks. So I think this is good, promising, needs testing though. This is interesting. Increases the potency effect of the FP restoration upon specific weapon type attacks effect. So this is like when you're using like a staff and then every time you hit the enemy, you get FP back, for example. These were actually pretty good before the this buff. So I assume post buff they're even better. I had a build one time where I could cast like an a spell that would just chain the whole time. And then basically that spell wouldn't run out, because every time it hit the enemy, I'd get more FP back than I was using. So I basically could create this like Kamehameha blade, this Kamehameha spell that would just non-stop shoot the bosses until it was dead. So this just makes that type of build even more accessible, I'm hoping, with the right other relics and the right weapons that you pick up. They've also reduced the duration of improved poise and damage negation when knocked back by damage effect, which I think that's fine. That's fine. It must have been a little too long. I never really do this stuff, but I'm sure that's going to be important for like a raider or wilder. Other adjustments adjusted the visibility of the rank or rancor or sorcery, which it was pretty visible in the past, so it's a minor thing. The Everdark Sovereign bosses, they basically just made them all weaker. Pretty much. Like, they've done this stuff, increased attack and stamina attack power against guarding Nightfarers whilst possessed, adjusted and modified the attack of this stuff, reduced the stagger duration when Nightfarers is hit by some of the attacks. And the equivalent beasts. Basically, for the equivalent beasts, they nerfed the NPCs that get summoned to make it a little bit easier. And this one, they've made it so that we recover a bit quicker. Like, but yeah, I heard about all this stuff. People found the Sovereign Dark bosses a little too difficult and complained. So it's unfortunate that they're nerfing them over time. I beat them when they first came out. I've beaten them all. But yeah, I guess it's for the people that haven't been able to beat them to have a chance. But I mean, not fully, because look at this. Increase the attack power of some attacks from Fulgur, Champion of Nightgo. Increase the HP and stamina attack power against guarding Nightfarers for Fulgur. So this guy got made slightly harder. So not all of them are super nerfed, but he's kind of easy anyway, you know. He was a little too easy. Other enemies adjust the reaction to player characters' range attacks of condemned Nightfarers that appear during events. Add a stagger reaction when strong attacks such as Ultimate Arts hit the Red Wolf. Fix a bug where some of the attacks of Marriott soldiers are less likely to hit player characters. Linfield adjustments increase the Night Tide's damage after defeating second night boss. Alright, this is a big deal. What this means is, when at the end of the second night, what you used to be able to do is run outside into the storm and then go get points and fight enemies that you missed and basically farm more XP or farm more souls so that you can level up your level. That basically has stopped, because like I went out there into the storm. You take so much tick damage with this. Like, this increase is actually substantial. Like, you can't be out there for too long. You can be out there for like 20 seconds and then you probably go through like 4 of your potions in that time. Adjusted the spawn location of sentient pest incursions so they're less likely to occur far from player characters. That's cool because this was super annoying. What would happen was this thing would appear, would take your like levels from you, and then you'd have to run away like halfway across the map, which is pretty annoying. So this is a good adjustment here. This one's a little bit sad because it was nice running into the storm and cheesing it, but I mean, you don't have to do that. If you plan your nights properly, then you don't need to do the whole running out in the storm at the end. But yeah, definitely don't run out there now unless you have someone really close that can revive you and you're close to the circle. Menu adjustments, adjusted the design of the holy attribute icon. Penalties, adjusted penalties rate for session disconnections. And then also disconnecting from a session due to network issues or quitting the game during a session in progress result in penalties, which may limit multiplayer capabilities. But rejoin the session you left will remove the penalty imposed upon disconnection. I think this is really good because what happens in the game is you'll play the game, you get to like day 1, someone will die, get upset and leave, and then you're down to 2 people. And if you're really unlucky, the second person will realize the first person left, and then they won't want to continue, and then you're stuck again. So I think increasing the penalty is good, and I also like that they've made it so that if you drop out because of your like Wi-Fi disconnects, as long as you can get back in within a reasonable amount of time, then you can reverse the penalty. So yeah, I'm assuming this means though, don't leave the game early because you might be locked out of multiplayer for a little while. So yeah, be careful of this one because in the past you could leave like 3 or 4 times and be fine. I'm assuming now it's a little less safe to do that. Though I've had people leave in my games all the time, but maybe they weren't aware of this change. Bug fixes. This is going to be the big stuff because it's the cheesy stuff that we used to do that made the game easier. So we'll see what they've fixed. Fix the bug with the post-attack delay for right-handed greatswords when handled by the wielder was shorter than expected when using sorceries or incantations with the left-hand weapon right after attacking. I didn't use that bug, but if people knew of it, it's been fixed. Fix the bug where the Guardian's ult could be interrupted by enemy attacks or other factors during its activation. Fix the bug where it could be deflected and interrupted. So this actually fixes Guardian because obviously he got mad counted when he was doing his ult, which shouldn't be the case, but it's kind of funny that that existed. Fix the bug where backstepping as Dutcher did not accept pre-inputs for skill commands. Fix the bug where spells cast through using the magic cocktail skill could be casted again under certain conditions. I never found this bug, but depending on what your magic cocktail skill was, if you could recast it twice, that's pretty good. That would have been a pretty OP bug to have found. But yeah, I played her a lot, but never came across this occurring. Or at least I wasn't aware of it occurring. So not a big deal for me. Fixed the bug where allied player characters could clip through tombstones when the totem stellar was used. I don't know why you'd want to clip through the tombstones. Probably you'd get stuck, I assume. So I guess it's good they fixed that. Fixed the bug where the spirits summoned by Revenant did not revive if their HPs were depleted. That's a pretty big fix. So that will make Revenant more playable, less risky to play. Fix the bug where special effects applied to spirits summoned by Revenant would appear above Revenant. Fix the bug where Executor could not perform critical hits using the Cursed Sword while holding a weapon in the right hand that cannot land critical hits. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I thought that was just a part of his kit, but I guess that's not the way it was meant to work, so that's good to know. Fixed a bug where the relic effect HP restoration upon thrust and counterattack did not apply to the attacks of Executor's Cursed Sword. That's good, so his Cursed Sword can make benefit of this. Fixed, which also means that this thrusting counterattack, that means Executor's Cursed Sword counts as this, in case you weren't aware. So if you've got relics like this with other Executor things, then you now have the answer that you can use this. And this thing's been buffed, remember, from earlier. So I think Executor is probably going to go up the tier list. He might be the regen class if I'm thinking about this. Either him or Duchess. They both have like regen capabilities if you're looking at their relics. Fix the bug where, and abilities. Fix the bug where Executor could not use pre-inputs for actions after deflecting an enemy attack with the Cursed Sword under certain circumstances. Fix the bug where the accumulated effects of these two things, Power of Vengeance and House of Mirage, would disappear when opening the large door and moving to the final battle area by using the open the door action prompt in the Spirit Shelter. I thought that was just a thing, you know, and to avoid it, you had someone else. I thought that was a way of them saying, no, you can't go into the boss super powered up. So this is actually good. This is very good. Now you can go into the boss solo and not have a problem if you got these things, but they did get nerfed. So yeah, I wonder how much they got nerfed. Fixed a bug with the rarity of weapons placed directly on the field from dormant power might not be displayed correctly. Not a big deal. Fixed an issue where passive effects triggered by walking did not activate during horizontal movement with precision aim shots using bow and crossbow. That's really good. That's a buff for Iron Eye. Because if you get these passive effects by walking spells, you kind of want to be able to use them, and he generally would strafe. So that's actually good to know that you can like combo this better now. Fixed an issue where the player character could become unresponsive for several seconds after performing an attack from a stance with certain skills. Fixed an issue where the passive effect improved charged sorceries are not applied to the sorcery Shattering Crystal. So Shattering Crystal for the Recluse is like a charged spell. It's like a shotgun spell. It like demolishes the enemy. So the fact that improved charged sorceries was not being applied to it, I didn't notice that was happening. I was using this spell with these charged sorceries improved perks, thinking that the damage was going up, but it might have been my level. So that means this spell with this might actually be way stronger than what we otherwise think it is. So I'll be looking out for this spell and obviously linking it with this to see what kind of shotgun damage it does. Maybe it'll be like a missile now or a torpedo, because she does some big damage with this spell. It's a good spell. You have to be kind of close though. Fix an issue where the status element Frostbite could be inflicted on the player character due to the accumulation of the Frostbite status element from some enemy attacks while using an ultimate art. That's good that they found that and that's been fixed. I wasn't aware of it. Never came across that issue, but that would be annoying. Fix an issue in the battle with the ever Dark Sovereign Equilibrious Beast could move below the ground under certain conditions. That's funny. I never encountered that. Fix the bug where levels would decrease without healing from flasks when false blessing occurred during battle against the Everdark Sovereign Equilibrious Beast. Fixed a bug where the player would level down if the false blessing effect was activated during the battle against that dude, even if the action was interrupted by an enemy attack before the HP recovery effect occurred. Basically, they just fixed this Everdark boss, I guess, but I didn't have these issues. Fixed a bug where blessings would become unusable again after defeating the second night boss. Where blessings would become usable again after defeating the second night boss. The second night boss is the end. Wonder what they're talking about with this one. Blessings would become usable again. Yeah, that one I'm not sure on. I'm not sure what they mean by blessings, but I'll have to look out for it and I'll provide an update in a later video if I find out what this relates to. But I'm assuming that's not available anymore. So I guess I wasn't using it, but that's definitely being stopped now. Fixed a bug where the player character could perform unintentional moves when using the Spectral Hawk. Okay. This suggests issues that were not fully resolved in an earlier edition. Fixed a bug where the player might not be correctly transported to the battle area if they died from falling during the cutscene while moving to the final battle area in the Spirit Shelter. That's interesting. Fixed a bug where dormant power might not appear upon defeating an enemy under unstable network conditions. Oh, that's good. I have beaten the boss once and not gotten the dormant power, and then I thought, oh, it must be like RNG related. Maybe it doesn't happen every time. I guess it was because of this. So that's good. It's good to know that's fixed. Fixed a bug where the effect of a used Wending Grace could activate when rejoining a session after disconnection. This is interesting because when I first... Okay, so what this means is that when you die as a team, if you got a Wending Grace, you basically get revived again and you have another chance to try and revive your team and beat the boss. So I guess what would happen is someone would die, use this, revive the team, then you disconnect, reconnect, have the other people stay there and not die, and then the Wending Grace is reset. Now, this is following on from another glitch that they fixed in the past, where if someone disconnected during the final boss fight, they actually became immortal, where the boss would kill them, their like timer would go to 0, but the fight wouldn't game over. It would just revive that player. the player that had disconnected and come back. And so basically what it meant was this player could solo the boss until it was dead and just keep dying over and over and over again. That got fixed in an earlier patch. So this is like kind of similar theme to that glitch, but obviously just applying to the Wending Grace. So yeah, both big cheeses for the final bosses are gone. I didn't use the first one, but definitely I saw it. I saw it happen to me in one of the matches. But yeah, they fixed it pretty quick. It was like within 2 or 3 patches. Reduced rendering load for some attacks of the Everdark Sovereign Tricephalos on PS4 and Xbox One. Doesn't impact me because I'm on PC. But the PC adjustments, you get some game stability improvements in some environments, which is good, and it fixed a bug where it was difficult to switch targets with a diagonal input. So that's the update from in terms of like what's been buffed and nerfed. I think it's overall buffs. The biggest one is the Guardian. Guardian's made stronger, so maybe he's going to go up. But then at the same time, they made all the classes stronger, so it might be personal preference. But with those new relics that we were covering earlier, there's going to be new builds and new things. So it's really going to be dependent what kind of perks you can get on those new relics and which character it's going to fit the best for. So this game, you got to be a bit fluid when you pick your characters. You got to go with the relics that you have. I got really good Recluse relics, so I started heavily focusing on Recluse. But I mean, if you're the type that got really good Wilder relics, then I'd be playing Wilder. They're all good in their own way. You just got to learn how to play them and what things you need to keep them safe for the final battle. But definitely some easy classes to play if you're new to this game. Easy class to play because he's very tanky. He can take hits. He's got a lot of health, so less likely to die. You're not going to get one shot on this guy. Same for Raider. Raider's a very good one to use as well. In terms of like magicians, personal preference, though some people have issues with it, Recluse does a lot of damage, but if you don't know how to play her, I would say you probably stick to like the Revenant. The Revenant people seem to understand a little bit quicker if you want to go magic. That just wasn't the best magic class, and you kind of have to be careful with the agility. But Iron Eye is not mentioned here. He's the only one that didn't get a buff. Aside from that increase in his crit. But Iron Eyes is a very good like starting class for newbies. But I just find him a little too weak when it gets to the end game. Like his bows are strong, but they're not like Recluse strong. You know what I mean? Like Recluse can like chunk the boss. Iron Eye, I haven't really come up with a build that chunks the boss yet, but it might be relic specific. I also would throw Executor up there too, but I feel like Executor is he's a little bit more niche. Like to really unlock his full power, you got to know how to use the Cursed Sword and all the little things that are associated with that. Same with Guardian, you got to know how to use his like his strong blocking skill. So if you're a newbie, I'd probably lean away from those two. Top pick: Raider, Wilder, Iron Eye, and then Revenant or Recluse. Duchess always fine, dies. Every Duchess that's been in my parties dies. But anyway, let me know what you think of the update. And if you like this type of content, remember to put a comment down below and like the video, and I'll make more in the future. Next video I'll probably make is showing off my boss fights when we get some cool bosses. And showing off level 5 dungeons. I'm going to try and grind that out now, and then I'll do an update to show you what content exists in the level 5 deep dungeon. Anyway, take care all. See you later. Bye-bye.